In this video, we're going to create text balloons for our comic page. This is a flattened comic I did for Action Comics 986. And one of the first things that you need to do if you have been working at a high resolution is reduce the resolution. Because we're just going to copy and paste, and if you have a super high resolution, it may not allow you to copy it. So you go to Image, Image Size, and we're going to set the resolution to 72. Okay, then we're going to Command A to copy. Commands come over into Illustrator and Command V. Okay, so Command A selected all, Command C copied, Command V pasted in Illustrator. We don't care about the resolution here. This is just a placeholder to tell us what we need to do. I'm going to go back and I'm going to undo the resolution change here because I don't want to mess with my original resolution. So going back into Illustrator, first thing I'm going to do is lock this layer. And then I'm going to create 3 layers above it. And you can rename these layers if you want. I usually typically name this Art Layer. I'm going to name this Bottom Balloon. I'm going to name this one Tail. And I'm going to name this one Top Balloon. And this will become apparent in a second. We'll start out in the bottom balloon. And I'm just going to create an ellipse about like this. I'm going to add probably a 3-stroke on it, just like this. And I want it set in the middle, and you'll see why in just a second. So I'm going to copy, so Command C, and we'll hit Command F to paste in front. And then if I look over here, I'm going to drag this little icon, whatever color it is, we'll drag it up to the top layer, and I'm going to set its stroke to 0. And notice now it cuts out half the stroke. Okay? Now, I've got 2 balloons that I'm working with. I've got the bottom balloon, I've got the top balloon. So if you move it, you need to select both. Notice I clicked and drug through to select both. That's why I locked down the other layer. Otherwise, I would have clicked on my art layer. And you drag it to where you want it. Then you go to the tail, and you create the tail of the piece. So I'm going to set this to a 1.5, half of the stroke of the other. I'm going to click here. I'm going to come out and kind of point it toward his mouth, and I'm going to drag out. And then I'm going to hold down the Option key and redirect my handle back up here like this, come around and close it off. Now, I may want to go to my stroke panel, so Window, Stroke, and if you don't see any options, just click here and Show Options. And I'm going to set this to the outside, but I may also want to round off that end, okay? Now, if this is too thick, that's fine. You can go back into your bottom, lock your top 2, and just select your bottom. Let's set it for 2 instead. Let's unlock everything, click on our tail, and set our tail for 1. Just always half of what it is. And, you know, we can go back to some sharp edges if you want. See, that kind of blocks it off. So you want to kind of mess around with it to get the way you want. That's a rounded edge. If you want a sharp edge, you do it a little different. So let's do a sharp edge now. So we're going to take and we're going to use our, make sure you're in the tail, and we're going to click where we want. We're going to come up and do this. We're going to kind of work backwards. And we're going to click in like this. And that's going to give us a sharper point. Okay? And we can always modify this if we don't like the angle. If it's too thick, we can just come in here and drag it. The nice thing about placing it between those 2 layers is I can move this tail around and it keep that ability there. Okay, we don't want to customize toolbar. Okay, so now we've got a nice little word balloon. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. Typically, I'll just type and then modify my type to it. Some people actually type in the top balloon, and you can do that by clicking here and doing the Area Type tool. And you click in here, and click on the path, and you can type in there. I don't like to do that because A, it gets rid of my circle, and B, I don't have as much control. So what I'll do is lock everything down, create a new layer, and call it type. Okay? Ignore that. Come up here, grab the type tool. I'm going to pull up my character panel here. I've got it up top, and I'm going to click. And I've got a few comics fonts that I typically use. Jim Lee's pretty good. And I'm just going to kind of draw a box in here. And I'm going to say, "Get on with it, Luthor." Because I want Lex Luthor to hurry up and kill Superman. And I'm just going to size it, and I'm going to center it. And, you know, maybe I want "with it" on one line and Luthor by himself. So I just work on the type, modify it a little bit. And I see that it's not going to fit my circle as well. I may even adjust the lighting before I do that. So Option up and down arrow will adjust your lighting. Really nice. We'll get in here and kind of float it right there. But now all I have to do is unlock my balloon layers. Select my balloons. And bring them in. Kind of make it really nice and tight there. Now we've got a nice little balloon. If I want to move the tail around, make it a little bit shorter. If I want to select it all, bring it down a little bit closer to the guy's mouth, and just adjust until I'm happy with it. Then all I have to do is, when I'm done with all of my balloons, I can select them all. I can copy. Okay, make sure you have everything selected when you copy. Copy. Everything's unlocked except the art. Go back in here. Paste it. I'm going to paste it as a smart object so I can scale it, because I might have to scale it up, but I don't. Place it where it belongs. And you are done. You now have text on your comic book.